Okay, it's now 6 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting for the Kinney County Groundwater Conservation District.
Got a recorded one?
That's a good idea. So, it's now 6 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's the regular meeting for the Kinney County Groundwater Conservation District. I have two members that are absent. Director Ward and Director Eckenrod are absent today. Directors Conley, Director Bland, Director Gaines, Director Schott, and I forget.
Bartell.
As you get older, you forget.
Tell me about it.
Always a present. So the first item on the agenda, we're going to stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Director Conley, would you stand us in the prayer?
Bless us, O Lord, for this day, this occasion, this county, and the people in it. Be with us in our decision making for our great natural resource of water, and through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. So now we're going to move to directors and public comments. We're going to go through public comments first. I have one person, Ms. Hodges.
Hi. I'm Elizabeth Hodges, and I live at 321 Fort Clark Road. And I wanted to thank Mr. Gaines personally. At the end of the meeting last time, you had asked that an agenda item be the drought plan at this meeting. And I noticed it wasn't on the agenda, and I wondered if you could help me out with that.
Be glad to. The drought plan is what the rules, it's actually going to be part of this rules committee that we're putting together tonight. And the rules committee is going to, try to come up with with rules. That's why it's rules committee. But yeah, there has not been any sort of drought plan formulated. That's what the committee is going to attempt to do.
So it won't be in a specific agenda item that you guys will kind of give us some advice on tonight?
Not tonight, no.
Okay. So you had just said you asked it to be on this agenda tonight, and I just noticed it wasn't here.
We've got to do the rules thing first.
Okay.
The committee has to meet and try to.
I just saw the rules committee as kind of a long-term, long-range, slow process. So
I wouldn't. Our goal is to get this thing moving.
okay.
We were talking earlier, we're trying to figure out when we can have the first meeting, and we intend to do that before the next meeting of this board.
Okay. Well, thank you all very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, so any directors, comments or anything? I'm gonna like to announce that we have a new field tech. Marty, would you please stand up?
Hello.
This is Marty.
Marty Penny.
She's our new field tech, which will be helping Jim out, reading meters, doing all this other stuff that we talked about before. So she'll be working with Janelle and trying to put all this stuff together. It's glad and happy to have you on board.
Thank you. Looking forward.
That's good. I don't have any other comments. And now we're going to go through the agenda. So let's move on to the next item on the agenda. So we're going to move to item number 5, which is discussion of possible action of approval of the minutes of the December regular meeting.
Motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a second. Have any other discussion on the item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Discussion of possible action on financial statements of December 2023.
Total income for December, $43,850.46. Year to date, $311,590.34. Total expenses, December, $59,589.62. For the year, $134,459.50. And we've received a little over half the taxes year to date. That's it.
Do I have a motion?
I so move.
All right, I've got a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I've got a second. Director Conley. Any further discussion on the item? All's in favor? Motion passes. On to the next item is review the monthly investment officers report. Is there anything up in here to
May I make a suggestion on there? On the text pool thing, it says variance on the interest rates. I mean, I know it does vary, but it might be more informative to at least calculate it as to what it is for the month. And in this case, it was like, 5.4%.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And it begs the question about the CDs. Do we want to, look for a better return on the CDs? Because we're getting almost 5.5% on the text pool thing. And it's like the money market, we can pull it in and out.
Right. Both of our CDs come up for renewal later this month. I had already talked to them this week, and they don't know what the rate's going to be, so I was gonna follow through with them later in the month to see for sure what their rate was gonna be.
Okay.
Sounds good.
you suggest we keep it there?
Pardon me?
You suggest we move it?
Well, let's see what the rates are, but, the board decided a long time ago they didn't want putting a lot of eggs in one basket as long as it was paying a bunch.
Is it insured?
Okay, well, they're not, but it's a Texas government thing. I mean, well, it's also, there'd be a lot of political screaming if something happened, and I would imagine legislature would do something. Yeah, but no, we're talking about that. I mean, all the egg in one back, but I know their CD's higher than this now. So it may be that we, push somebody a little bit and get a better rate.
Let's see what it does next month. Okay, so that's just a review item. If anybody else doesn't have anything else on it, let's move to the next item on the agenda. Discussion and possible action on invoices received and invoices paid.
All that stuff to you was mostly equipment?
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't you come up with a bunch of new equipment that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some specialty equipment that we put in the spring in mud well, and both the city wells are now instrumented. And then we've got a box of equipment that just came in within the last week or last couple of weeks that's sitting in the vault. It's in the vault, it's not cheap.
Y'all got any other questions about anything?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Well, while it doesn't reflect on here, we did, if y'all recall, when y'all approved the budget in September, we do have a separate line item for equipment and then a separate line item for Jim and Carlos's work. So the two are split out.
That's fine.
But it just doesn't show up on our check register that way.
I don't have any questions about anything. Everybody else fine?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an action item.
Motion to approve.
I've got a motion and I've got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we're gonna go to item number 9, which is review the Texas Water Development Drought Index of the monitoring sites. I'm gonna go ahead and speak with Jim just for a few minutes. Jim, can you come up here and tell us a little bit more about what you've done this week?
Sure. Number one, welcome Marty Payne. I met Ms. Payne this week on Monday. And one of the primary purposes, both Carlos and I are out this week, there's a lot of interest in the meters. We want pictures, we want to look at it, we want to go out to each of the sites. So on Monday morning, after a brief introduction, the three of us went out and covered a lot of ground. There's 145 permitted water rights in the county. And so someone has permits. Some of those water rights are in the same well. But out of 145, we were able to get to about 40 in the last couple days. Documenting meters, looking at it. One of the surprising things I think for me is a lot of those are not connected to anything. There's no way to extract water from those wells. I don't know, Carlos, maybe 10 out of the 40 or maybe 25% of them. I don't know that that's going to be the case, but at least my experience the last couple of days. We were able to do that, and that's our plan for the next. We're mission critical. Go again. Pictures. We've been I think as the board knows and you've heard before, we're working on an app so that landowners and permit holders can actually go in, log in, and get their information in, upload a picture. We made a determination not to roll that out right now. We felt that we wanted to see if we could break it before we asked everybody else to do it. And so we're holding that. We're probably going to do some minor tweaks, but the idea is that we will go out, verify, get pictures, get meter readings, document each of the locations, make sure they're in the right spot, etc. Landowners and pumpers are submitting their reports this month. We'll be able to compare that a little bit, and then we will work to get that information up in the app, run some queries, run some analysis, look at it. If there's anything that we feel needs to change or be adjusted, it will be adjusted. And then at some point will be rolled out, and depending on the rules committee and some of the things that the rules committee does over the next month, whether that's required to submit every month, whether they're going to do it every year, those type of things I think are still in discussion. And then the app will be then finalized based to support the rules. I see Director Long with the Fort and memo are here. I want to thank the Fort. They did approve us to install a transducer in the spring, and we were able to do that I think since the last meeting. We did mud well at the same time, and so you've got the spring here on a little bit east, mud well, their number 1, which is we're monitoring, and then their number 2 well, which they're pumping. And as they pumped, we've been able to look at correlations and see what's connected. In the well that Mud is pumping, you come over about 50 to 60 feet. I know y'all know how close it is. You see about a foot response. So you see the well's pumping, it comes down about a foot, it comes back up. And the spring, we're measuring the level. We're not seeing any influence in the spring at all, not even a couple inches. And so there's things like that we're doing, that we'll continue to monitor data and just look at that. As we drove by TxDOT, we repaired one of the units that for whatever reason wasn't reporting. And so while we're out on property and collecting some of the meter stuff, we'll also be looking at some of the equipment, and if there's some minor repairs and things that need to happen, we'll do that one.
Very good. Y'all got any
Questions or?
So the data, the photos and all that will be available here at the office, should anybody, wish to.
Absolutely, they will. I would like to go out in the field for a few weeks to come back in and be able to process it all. I mean, the stuff we have now is just, it's sitting on a computer or sitting in the truck. At some point, absolutely. But the data that we collected yesterday and the day before is not here in the office. I actually have that on us. But when we're done, absolutely.
And the anticipated date where it would be available in the office? Or can it be done piecemeal as you go, or what's most efficient for you?
That's a great question. Let me get back to you. I'm not sure. I would like to wait till we get everything together to combine it all, finish our work, do it. I mean, within the next month or something. I mean, we're not till the end of the year or something. I mean, we'll get it as soon as we're done. I'm hesitant to commit to when we're going to do it because what we just did in the last couple of days, it seems like we're doing great, but is this a low-hanging fruit and it's going to take a little longer on the rest of it? I don't know. But the commitment is, Director Gaines, absolutely make the information available, 100%. Any other questions? I may add one more thing, is that I know that we've talked a lot, for those of you that have been here over the last few years, we've talked a lot about rainfall data and the spring and the correlation, and then how the desired future conditions are associated with Quad 807 and all of this stuff. And if those that have been around for a little bit, you've heard all the information. Quad 807, unfortunately, from the EAA isn't going to be available for the next. It takes them a couple months to produce it all, but we did run some quick analysis of not only the rain gauge network that the district has here, but also incorporated the text mesnet data. Also, in looking at that in Quad 807 and the average rainfall. Again, this is our end of the year analysis, is about 16, 17 inches is what the county had on average. And on the east side, Mr. Bartels, up towards you, there were some of those gauges were about 20 inches. Los Moras was 11. Down in the southwestern part of the county, 10 inches, 11 inches, 14 inches up in the northwest, 14 up Mr. Martin's Ranch up into Edwards. We had some 17s and 18s up Hurwitz in that direction up in that area. But the average was about 16 inches. So still well below the 24 inches of rainfall that is the average. I don't know what average means anymore these days, but but again, that's information that we're just looking at right now. I mean, we'll have more analysis of it and again preliminary, but that's where we're at.
I don't have any other questions.
Any other questions?
Yes. To clarify the goals of the field tech and you for gathering data, would it be on a monthly basis, going out and taking a monthly reading of what the meters are showing? Or it's maybe sounding like a one-time thing at the start of the year, and then permit holders will be self-reporting for the rest of the months?
That's not what I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you clarify if you and the field tech will be taking meter readings monthly from all of the wells? Or you've mentioned in the past maybe just the high capacity wells?
We don't know yet if they do all the wells in a month.
Let me just clarify this. So this committee that's fixing to get formed, y'all are going to discuss all that stuff, and that's going to be at the end of it, depending on what all's said and what all's done. That can be integrated into the rules of that's how things are going to be run. So people have to be patient right now. So when this committee forms, the committee will make decisions on some of this stuff, having to deal with drought contingency, reading meters, doing all this other stuff that's going to come up. So
yes, and I'm not asking that anything be enforced. I'm just wondering what you were planning.
Yeah, and so I need to be real careful here, Gage. I don't direct the field tech. The field tech is an employee with the Groundwater District, just like I am, and so I think it's presumptuous of me to say exactly what we're going to do. That's the decision for this board. I think moving through some things. I think the intent of what you're asking is, will there be regular spot check on meters by a human, if I'm hearing you correct? And the answer to that question is yes. Now, will it be monthly? Will it be periodically? I think you're referring to Dr. Bill when he talked about priority wells and things. I don't know that I said that, but I do think that there is some validity in looking at higher priority wells for whatever reason. Maybe there's someone that doesn't report or something. I don't think we have that, but if to have someone go out on a regular basis, whatever that means, to periodically spot check and or to look and or to help others get information and bring it back to the district, absolutely that is our goal, and that's been our goal for 10 years. This is what we are trying to do.
I don't have anything any further.
You said there were some meters that were hooked up to wells that aren't functioning.
There are permitted water rights. So someone has a property right that is groundwater. It has a permit that pays the district an annual fee for a well that does not have the ability to extract water. Now, maybe there's no pump in it. Maybe there's no motor. Maybe there's piping that comes out that's not connected to a pivot, that's not connected to a house, but it is a permitted well that someone has a groundwater right to the water that's in that well. They just don't have the ability to pull it out right now. Yet they still pay an annual fee to the groundwater district to maintain that right. It's just, there's not a pump, there's not a motor, there's no electrical power going to it. They just physically, you cannot take water out of that particular location. And there's a lot of those. I mean, we're looking just in our paper files, probably a third of the permitted water rights or more, maybe. I don't know, I'm looking to the wisdom on the either side of me, don't have the ability to pull water out of the ground. But what we want to do is we want to document that. If that's the case, we want to know it. We'll get photos of that, regardless of whether there's a meter or not. If there's not a meter for some reason, we'll take a photo of it. I mean, whatever. We want every bit of information we can, and to bring it in digitally, and to have it to where we can query it, we can sort through it. This is a lot of information to get, and we want to do it right. It's not rushing through and get this done. I mean, we want to spend the time, go to the site. If there's some, hey, is this EH04ET004-13/B or ET00145? There's, is this well, this one? No, we want to get it right. And I think that we're doing it. It's just taking a little bit. At some point we were thinking we were going to be able to get this done last summer. It wasn't the time. And, Miss Payne's come on board and hit the ground running. Great hire, by the way. Absolutely. She, first couple of days she's right there with Carlos and I. It's been good. So, yeah.
We were required to permit to meter every well regardless.
Yep. So, yeah. That's a rules question, and I'm gonna stay out of that a little bit. My goal is to collect.
This was before.
Oh, it was before. Oh, yeah. But there are things I think in the rules committee that can be discussed on how you do things. That it can be part of the discussion. But the goal is absolutely to get information from every location and put it in. And it's like. I think the pumping numbers were 10,000 or something acre feet last year. I mean, the 8 inches of rainfall that we lost is 25,000 acre feet of recharge. And so you get a little bit of rain, we got a lot of recharge. And so there's, I'm looking around. Any other questions, or can I get off the hot seat?
Thanks.
This goes, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Yes.
I don't have anything else on that. So we're going to move to item number 10. As per our attorney, no action needs to be taken on this. It's an item that shouldn't have been on. So there's no action on number 10. Move to item number 11, which is the appointment to the Rules Committee. Director Gaines?
The Rules Committee of the board, the preliminary Rules Committee met and came up with the list. So at this point, I make a motion to appoint these individuals to the Rules Committee. In some cases, it's not an individual, but it's a legal entity that will provide an individual. Anyway, make a motion to have a representative from Commissioners Court, either the county judge or one of the commissioners, from the city of Brackett, the mayor, city secretary, or their designee, from Fort Clark, the manager or his designee, from Spofford, the mayor or his designee, from Fort Clark Springs Association, the president or another board member. Moving on to individual names: Brad Whitaker, Gage Brown, David Conley, Terry Marsh, and some of these names I may mispronounce, and I apologize. Lance Zadoff. Told you I would. Asa York, and the mediator is going to be the general manager of the Uvalde County Groundwater District, Vic Hildebrand. Anyway, I'll make a motion that these individuals are, if it's a position, people that they designate, be included in the Rules Committee that that we're forming.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So motion carried. Janelle, would you contact all those people, get phone number, get a hold of Vic?
Yes.
So hopefully by next week, the earliest,
Yeah,
next week we'll probably have the first meeting, or the week after, depending on what you said.
yeah. We'll have to arrange with the mediator on his schedule, but as soon as we can get something from him as to a time, that's our intention to have our first meeting as soon as he is available. We're hoping next week. Week after that at the latest.
Okay. Look through that. Let's go to item number 12, the general manager's report.
Since the last board meeting, we had one application for an exempt well. It was up in the northern part of the county, pretty close to Edwards, not far from the Edwards County line. It's part of one of those subdivisions that's gone in up there, the Dusty Rose property. The majority of it is in Edwards County. There is a portion of it that's in Kinney County. The small acreages. The other thing, the GMA 10 meeting will be held Region J will be held tomorrow in Kerrville. I'm not going to try to attend, but we have the option to do it virtual. So I'll be participating in that. And then the following Monday, we have a GMA 10 meeting in San Antonio, and I plan to attend that. The 30th and the 31st is the TAG winter meeting. It's going to be in Pflugerville this year. I take it back, it's in Round Rock. Last year they scheduled it about the same time, and it wound up everything, it was in Pflugerville, everything was iced in and everything, it was canceled, and something like 3 months later we finally had it. But anyway, see how the weather goes for this. And we have gotten the statements out for renewal, to pay the renewal fees and the use fees. I think there's about maybe 10 that we haven't gotten out yet. We had our bookkeeper was doing it off-site, and then when they came to us, there was a few things that was questions on, and so we're working through that, but the rest of them will go out at the end of the week. So that's about all I have to report. And we'll be glad to help anyone that comes in I know we've had a couple of individuals that have come in to pay their use fees and renewal fees, and they're turning in their pump report, but they needed a little help with their pump report. They had their little scratch pad or whatever with the numbers written down, and that's part of what we do. Glad to help them when we can. And a gentleman, this was last year I think, he came in and he wanted to know his previous year's reading, and he couldn't find it. And he said it was easier to come into the office and have you girls look it up than to ask my wife. So anyway, just little things like that makes it kind of fun. That's all I have to report. Oh, we do have a holiday on the 15th, which is Monday. Yeah, probably will be. Jim here will probably be one word. But anyway.
No, got any other questions or anything? I appreciate everybody coming out. We're going to be very enthusiastic about this committee. There's going to be 3 of the board members that are going to be sitting in on that thing. So it's going to be a good thing when it's all said and done. We're going to cover a lot of ground, and I think we're going to accomplish a lot. So I'm glad that's coming up.
I just had a question.
Yes,
Is it going to be open to the public?
Yes, ma'am.
And
they won't be able to participate, but it's open to the public for people to come if they want to sit in on it. It's fine.
May I ask a question to adopt the rules committee? The individuals who were chosen, I know a couple people from the association came and made proposals to the board. For the other individuals, had they made proposals to the board, or did the board approach those individuals who don't belong to a board in the county or are representing the city?
Are you talking about the different individual appointees or stuff like that? They've been on different committees with us before. So there isn't too many people that are just jumping up and wanting to start this. So that's another deal that you have to take in consideration. The committee, which makes its decisions or however they want to go about things, whether they come to an impasse or not, that gets submitted to this board. This board makes the final decision, no matter what. It doesn't make a difference. But we're hoping that good things will come out of this committee, that we'll be able to come to an agreement on certain things that people are arguing about, and hopefully we settle those arguments. I do not want to see this board back in a position where it used to be, where people were arguing and attorneys were here and people were fighting. Those days are said and done, and do not need to come back again. So I want to kind of just lay that out there. So I want to try to, everybody that's on this committee needs to be open-minded and bring everything, if you want to say what you need to say. But at the end of the day, just know that this board is the one that makes the final decision on anything that happens. The rules and regulations
after it's reviewed by
after
the
it's
council.
reviewed.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. I understand there's a lot of friction out there, and hopefully this committee will set things down and air them out, so everybody knows where everybody stands, and it'll come to agreement on whichever way it wants to go, one way or the other. Not everybody's going to see eye to eye with it. So I mean, that's just the way it is. But y'all need to figure this out. That's why we hired an outside mediator. Big Hildebrand is more than capable of doing this. He knows everything about what's going on in Kinney County. He's been around since this all began, so he knows. So I think everything will work fine. The people that are on the committee are all, I don't think that any of them are closed-minded about anything. Mm-hmm. I think that everything is going to be fine in the outcome in the end. So I'm looking forward to it. That being said, I'm going to go to item number 13 for adjournment.
Before I make the adjournment, when he said I'm looking forward to it, I noticed his fingers were crossed.
I am looking forward to it. So,
anyway, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
ma'am.
We had a rules committee when I was on the board, and I chaired that rules committee. And Matt, it was a great process. People listened. I remember there was a woman, Miss Huntsman.
Yeah.
She came to every meeting. She was there to protect the spring, and she was wonderful. And it was a great experience.
Yes, ma'am.
Godspeed. I think it'll
Everything will be
be
fine.
a good speed.
So, All thumbs up?
Motion second.
Who made the second?
I did.
All done. So we have a motion on the floor and a second. Thank everybody for coming out. I hope to see y'all at the next one.
All in favor?
Right. Aye.